Please rise for the Baruchu.
Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
The evening. As Rabbi Lewis was mentioning before, our days, you may be seated. Thank you, they were looking at me like, wow. As Rabbi Lewis was mentioning before, our days cycle through and sometimes we forget to pay attention to them. And I think the same is true of each individual day. I know that a lot of us are very busy. Some of us are very, very serious students, right, Norah? And some of us are very, very busy parents. Some of us are involved in different causes, different organizations, and sometimes we forget to really mark the day passing morning, then evening, one into the other. And so there's actually prayers built into our morning and afternoon and evening services that help us take a moment to focus on that. And in the evening, it's called Maariv Aravim. It's difficult to translate. It means the person who makes the evening an evening. So if Chad can share the screen, then we can share that blessing. There we go. Let me dance in the sky with prayers and blessings for the ones I love, raising these hopes to the gates of heaven. Let me sing among the stars with mystery and magic for the holiness around us, raising these dreams to the gates of redemption. And there is music in the dawn and blessings at dusk, a radiance of glory, carrying our voices beyond the firmament to the one who created all being. Next slide. Everyone's jobs have shifted around on the patio this evening. Our bass player is now the Zoom master. Baruch atah Adonai ha-ma'ariv aravim. I would like to invite up Norah to lead us in Shema and Ve'ahavta. Page 154. Emet, truth. Something that this week's Torah portion talks a lot about, although indirectly, and I'll mention more about that later. But I talk a lot about a moment of truth whenever we come up against Michamocha, because we come up against them all of the time in our lives. Moments when we need to make a decision. Do we want to go to the left or to the right? Do we want to stand up or sit down? Do we want to shout out or back away? And sometimes we make the wrong choices, and then we learn from them and we move forward, and in the next moment of truth, we're able to be just a little bit louder and a little bit stronger and a little bit taller. So the Israelites, as they approached the Red Sea with the enemy behind them and the water spread out before them, had a moment of truth. Are we brave enough? Do we believe enough to go forward into the water? And lucky for us, there was one guy who said yes and plunged forward into the water, and everyone followed. And as they actually reached the other side, the waters parted and they reached the other side, they burst into the spontaneous song. So I'm not sure that the crowd hears the bursting type. However, let us all sing Michamocha in commemoration of all of our moments of truth. I'd like to welcome Norah back up to our bima to lead us in the Amidah as she is approaching a very big moment of truth where she declares herself ready to join the adults in the Jewish tradition. I've known Norah for a long time and I think she's ready, right? Good answer. All right, come on over. Please rise.
Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Menorah, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Hasdei Avot Ve'imot, Umevi Geula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shema Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Abraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol Atah, Rav Le'Hoshia, Mashik HaRuach U'Marid HaGasham, Mechokel Hayim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Le'Rovei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayim Be'elato, Mishenei Afar, Mihamacha Ba'Geburot, Umidon Elach, Melech Reviv, Umayeh, Umatzmi Yeshua, Umatzmi Chayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol.
Kadosh, V'shimcha Kadosh, V'choshim b'chol yom, V'halalu chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Yasher koach. Yasher koach.
Surprise! We're flexible here. We have the opportunity on Shabbat to really pray. And so I want to allow us, now that I get to be with this group, myself as well, to find that prayer. And this is our moment to do it. I'm going to continue individually now, silently, the remainder of the blessings of the Amidah if you prefer. If you prefer to close your eyes, to look out, however you find your prayer, I invite you to do so. And whenever you're ready, you may be seated.
Rachov al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adom lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adom lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל השעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim
Amen. Hineni. Hineni. This is the word that comes up more than a dozen times through the Torah and all of Tanakh. And in one chapter of this week's Torah portion, it comes up, in just a few verses, it comes up 3 times. Hineni. Now, what is Hineni? Wendy says, I am here. That is correct. But here's the thing. We have another word in Hebrew that means I am here. And that word is po. Doesn't sound quite as nice. Po. In fact, I think there's a Disney movie with a po character, right? What? Teletubbies. I think it was the panda, right? Po. But no. Po means I am sitting in the chair. I'm standing right here. My body is here. Hineni means I'm really here. I am present. I am engaged. I am ready to pay attention. Sorry, you were both logged in as patio, and so I sent the wrong one. Okay. Hineni means I am fully present, and I am here, and I am ready to engage. And so with just a few moments left in our time tonight, we're not going to spend too much time exploring, except I want to share with you the examples, share with you where in these few verses the word Hineni pops up, and the context, why, not just so that you know more about this week's Torah portion, but so that you can put yourself into the place of that Torah portion. And in particular here, it is Abraham who says Hineni 3 times. And the hope there is that we can get ourselves into the headspace of Abraham so that we can figure out, not in the nice story way, but in our way, how we too can be ready to say Hineni? How can we be ready to be fully present and fully engaged and ready to respond? That Hineni is a response. Abraham, the first time, is called by God. He's going about his business. We go about our business, going about his life, doing his thing. Now he's had some drama in his life. He happened to just cast out his wife and son into the wilderness, so he's probably a little bit disturbed. He wasn't very happy about this. He did it anyway. And God calls to him, Avraham, Avraham. And Abraham's response, Hineni, I am here, God. So Abraham is able to hear God's call, able to hear a calling, and to respond, even though he's busy dealing with his own stuff. We too are busy dealing with our own stuff. So just a question, perhaps a rhetorical one, but something to think about. What does it take when you're busy going about your life and doing your stuff, whether it's big dramatic stuff, hopefully nobody's cast off wives and children into the wilderness, but whether it's the big stuff of life or the day-to-day, what does it take for us to hear when something greater calls to us? A greater purpose, a greater intention. Reverence, beautiful, reverence. Just sit with that for a moment. Instance number 2. The calling, of course, is to take your son, your beloved son. If this sounds familiar, it's because we read it during the High Holy Days, the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Take that child you've waited until he's ripe old age to have, take him up onto the mountain and sacrifice him. And so he does. He takes Isaac, who's not a baby, he takes him and says, come on, let's go. We're going to take a walk. We're just taking a walk. And they walk in this painfully awkward silence until Isaac, who's carrying the wood for his own sacrifice, thank you, as always, until Isaac realizes what's going on. And he says, hey, Dad, what's going on here? And I'm sure this is a conversation that Abraham did not want to have whatsoever. And Isaac calls to him, and Abraham's response, Hineni. So my question here, what does it take for us to be ready to respond to our loved ones, or perhaps to ourselves, when we are in uncomfortable situations and we would rather just skate right through? But if we're truthful and we want to be in real relationship with ourselves, with our loved ones, with their needs, with our needs, we need to be able to be ready to respond. Hineni, what does it take? Instance number 3. They get to the top of the mountain. They get everything set up. Abraham, I don't want to give away too much, but has the knife in his hand. And some commentators tell us it even came so close, he put it down and it was on Isaac's throat. And from the bushes, Avraham, an angel of God, in the form of a ram, hence the shofar, calls out to him. And his response, Hineni, I'm here. I'm ready to pay attention to the distractions when I'm so hyper-focused on this task. How many of us get hyper-focused on the tasks at hand? Yes, Rabbi Rebecca, I happen to know you do. So hyper-focused that it's so easy to not hear the sounds around us, the voices calling to us. What does it take when we're in those moments to hear? And because we don't have time for a long discussion, I'm going to share with you just my own little take. And that is to be able to respond with the word Hineni, we need for ourselves to be able to be in a place of Hineni. We need to be fully present and fully aware and living in our full lives, as opposed to the kind of subconscious, semi-consciousness that life can easily take us through. If we are present with ourselves in our lives, which is not easy, then we will be more prepared to say Hineni to those around us. and to those callings that reach out to us when we need it. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue our service with a Mishberach.
We take a few moments to think of those in our love, in our connections, our families, and our friends who are in need of any kind of healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. I'll be reading names out loud in a few moments. If you have any others you'd like to add to the chat, please do so now.
May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
This Shabbat, our community sends a Mishaberach to and to George Brashadsky, Kayleen Billy, Mel Birkin, Al Blinder, Michael Brookman, Rob Brookman, Barbara Brook, David Chotis, Christina Daly, Oren Dukowski, Martha Deutsch, Mary Ann Deal, Alan Israti, Essie Farber, Eric Gershenson, Rachel Gershenson Gates, Stephen Goldfarb, Cantor Rachel Goldman, Sam Heron Goldman, Rabbi Joshua Kalev, Ivel Keating, Carol Kim, Ilsa Lowe, Denise Miller, Ray Nahara Jr., Mr. Oliveira, Steve Peckner, David Poster, Judy Pusateri, Annie Quillen, Ellie Reed, Marsha Rangan, Ron Roston, Joan Roth, John Shermer, Freddie Seidel, Irv Siegelman, Sharon Siegelman, Sandy Silver, Marcia Spanier, Samson Walsey, Melissa Williams, Hope Witkowski, Chayalea Bat Bela, Rav Chana Bat Chana, Sivya Nachman Bat Chayalea, and Harav Yehoshua Ben Yehudit. We also think of Randy Stannard, Stephanie Solomon, and Joan Simon. If anyone else on the patio has a name they'd like to share, please stand and share it with us now. For all of these, and for everyone out there that is experiencing any kind of suffering, we continue with Misha Beirach.
I just want to add Eve Swire and Sam Farrell. Misha Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say
Amen. Please rise for Aleinu, page 586, I think.
Aleinu l'shabech la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא שמנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, אשר הוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת הוא זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad. And on that day, God's name will be one. I spent a lot of time wondering why we closed the Aleinu with that kind of a phrase. On that day, God's name will be one. Isn't that what we've been taught our whole lives? There's only one God with lots of names. So the way that I've been thinking about it lately is I definitely don't think about God the way that you do, or you, Norah, or anybody else, because my own relationship with God is defined by me, by who I am. So I might have my own personal name or understanding of God, and so do each of you. And sometimes that's a good relationship, and maybe sometimes you feel distant, and that's all fine. That's all part of the process of living. So I think about the day that God's name will be one. It's not that any one person is going to say, well, guess what? I figured it all out. I know everything there is to know about God, and you should all do it the way that I do it. That's not what it is, right, Norah? That would be ridiculous. So I think what it means is that everybody moves in the right direction. If we can get everybody moving towards whatever their understanding of God is at the exact same time, that's that day. And it sounds like such a small thing, but apparently it's not, because we haven't gotten there yet. So we all have to do that one little step every single day. And someday, I have faith that with people like Norah coming up in the world, that we're actually going to get there at some point. And you'll hear more about why I think that if you join us tomorrow and listen to her Josh and listen to her mitzvah project and all of those things. So Norah, Bayom Hahu, on that day, Norah will help us all become one. She's blushing. And with that, we move on to a very important moment of every single service, where we stop and we think about those who are no longer with us. So this Shabbat, our community is commemorating the yahrzeits of several people. If you have anybody else that you are thinking of this Shabbat, please prepare to share their names with us on the patio or enter them in the chat. This Shabbat, we commemorate the yahrzeits of Henry Bassick, Sarah Bennett, Barbara Centuria Bryant, Rose Kamras, Ethel Cohen, Bernice Fromstein, Regina Front, Charles J. Gittimer, Agostino Celso Giusti, Sela Heber, Ethel Heimov, Bernard Horowitz, George Cantor, Solomon Lerner, Rachel Levitt, Mitchell A. Light, Ralph Major, Ira R. Manson, Milton Munt, Esther Rabinowitz, Israel Rappaport, Pauline Gilinski-Rosen, Maurice Salas, Bernie Sarnett, Barbara Sills, Sonia Slevin, Frida Stahl, Carl Strauss, Thelma Sussman, and Edward Ziegler. If anyone on the patio has any names they'd like to share, please rise. As the eyes meet yours, share them with us.
Linda Copia.
Anyone in the chat have any names they would like to share? Right, for all of these, and for everyone who has no one left to say Kaddish for them, we rise for the mourners' Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach pirtei ve'almich malchutei, B'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dachol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala uv'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Olamei Amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha Brichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Olamei Amaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the one who makes peace above send peace down to all of us, to all of Israel, and to everyone across the world, to which we all say, Amen today. And we're going to close with more Oseh Shalom. Please be seated.
Oseh Shalom, Nimrod, Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, 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 Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru,
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Norah and the Simon family. We are looking forward to celebrating with you tomorrow. But guess what, Norah? In a few minutes, when everyone joins us on the patio, you get to lead us in Kiddush.
Shabbat is sweet. I want to thank all of our breakout room leaders and organizers and our entire Friday Night Lights committee. Toda Rabbah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a sweet, sweet night. And there is no better way to give thanks for all that's sweet by joining together in the Kiddush. Thank you. Robert is back there if anybody needs. The white is juice. The pink or red is wine. Want to invite everybody to please rise as we join with Norah, for whom this Shabbat is extra sweet, in the Kiddush.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadoshו v'ahava u'ratzon v'kilanu, v'karol l'ma'aseh b'reshit, v'yom tehillah lemikrat kodesh, zecher l'tzion Mitzrayim, kivanu v'harta, ve'otanu kidashta, v'kohanim, v'shabbat kodesh, ve'ahava u'ratzon, v'imhatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. Yasher koach.
Yasher koach. Beautiful, beautiful. If somebody, Dan, would you mind grabbing the challah that's behind you and watch your step? There are a lot of cords. Norah, stay close. You're ready for this one. Hold on. So much goodness, so much that nourishes us. This Shabbat is proof of it. So Norah, you want to hold the board underneath there? You got it? All right, let's join together in giving thanks for all that nourishes us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Beautifully done. Amen. Shabbat shalom, mazel tov to the Simon family, and thank you for those who are on the patio. Thank you to the Simon. Well, thank you to the Simon family, for everybody, for sponsoring an Oneg Shabbat this evening. Stay schmooze on Zoom. Stay schmooze. Shabbat shalom.
Yay. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.